So about 2 months ago, I got word from one of the 5K websites I'm on that they do an Emerald City 5K. And I used that as inspiration and motivation to really immerse myself in the world of Oz. So I, over the last 2 months, have gone ahead and read all 14. Yes, there's 14 in the L. Frank Baum series and learned so much. So today we are celebrating Oz. I have a ton of stuff to do today, but I'm going to do my 5K before the sun even comes up so that I have time to go to the laundromat. And yeah, we're going to watch Wicked, Return to Oz, and Wizard of Oz. All are different versions. Now, I'm a musical girl. I love musicals. Wicked is a fan fiction book series written, and then the musical is written off of it. It's not actually based on the L. Frank Baum books. The Wizard of Oz is an adaptation. Even though it was made in 1937, it's an adaptation to the original book, The Marvelous Wizard of Oz. It only captures about, I'd say, a quarter of what the actual book is. I mean, the Wicked Witch dies halfway into the book. There's still a lot of adventures that they missed out on showing, and a lot of different people. It's not just munchkins, there's quadlings, there's all different kinds of people, even the China doll people in that movie that they missed out on showing. Return to Oz is based off of the Marvelous Land of Oz and Ozma of Oz, and isn't even completely accurate. It's Princess Langwidere instead of Mombi that actually can remove her head and change out heads. Mombi is a witch, so that's where they switch things around. But you do have the Gump, you do have Jack Pumpkinhead. They just combine them, but the books have been amazing. I'm gonna do a video of different facts or interesting things. It was just incredible. So we're having an Oz day, but on a budget. All right, this is 5K number 8. So Emerald City. This one will be fun. I'm doing it in the dark, but it's a Saturday. I am watching all 3 movies at different points today. The time it fits in the best is before the sun even rises. Since it being before the sun comes up, I need to have my headlamp, which needs to be tightened. Okay, just got my new light up vest so I can be seen, and I've got my headlamp. All right, let's do this. 5K number 8. Seems only fitting on this walk that instead of listening to a book, this is how I get through a ton of books, is I listen to the Wicked soundtrack and the Wizard of Oz soundtrack. Now, no, I've done a Wizard of Oz party through a theme dinner for my family 14 years ago. It was one of the first ones I did, and it was so much fun. Some of those kids are now in college, and they were quite young. Greens just seems fitting, actually. That is the color of my vest. One of the interesting things I discovered that I like about the books that the movies never really capture is how big the Land of Oz is and how many different people there are. There are so many different characters he's written that you never get introduced to. So many different parts of the country, and you never actually get introduced to Ozma. Ozma is one of the greatest characters. There's just so much throughout all 14 books that you never really get in the Wizard of Oz itself. And I love the Wizard of Oz. My sister really loves the Wizard of Oz. So I call it an adaptation because it's not truly what the book was. And I'm a huge Judy Garland fan. Huge. So that's where I have to see it as its own entity, its own piece of work, but I don't really consider it anything like the books completely. Dorothy was supposed to be 10 or 11 and blonde. And yeah, as I said, the Wicked Witch dies like halfway through the book. A lot of the things are just for Hollywood that were placed in the movie. There's just so much that goes on the book. More than half of the book is her trying to get home. And actually, the journey seems like it takes a day. The journey to the Emerald City feels like it takes a day in the movie. They're actually out there for like 3 weeks trying to get to the Emerald City and then to go find Glinda, because Glinda does not float down in a bubble to save them. It's just fascinating. I highly recommend the books. They are public domain, so you can listen to them for free. Why can't I? Birds fly beyond the rainbow. Why? The Wizard of Oz. Here is the wonderful wisdom, if ever it was, there was, if ever and ever. Well down, 2.1 left. Another interesting fact is the Tin Man's real name is Nick Chopper. He was a wood chopper who was in love with this woman. And one of the Wicked Witches, I think it's the Wicked Witch of the East, if I'm remembering correctly, kept chopping off body parts to stop him from loving her. And I cannot remember her name off the top of my head. But he eventually became the Tin Man. They kept chopping off parts of him, and over time became the Tin Man. And in the end, the last part that the witch took was his heart. And he knew what it was to love. And that's the thing he missed the most and valued the most. On a side note from Return to Oz, in the movie, you see Ozma's hidden in a mirror. Ozma was not hidden in a mirror in the books. She actually is a small boy in that book and doesn't know that she is Ozma. She was transformed as a small child into the boy, and the entire book they're looking for her. Mombi is in charge of taking care of the boy, and she tortures him. It's quite interesting. But Ozma is such a prevalent character. The part they did get right was the mirror. She does watch the mirror. Where Wicked is its own fan fiction, it is not any part of the book. Because Glinda in Wicked, you see, has ulterior motives and is a ditz and not the best person. But Glinda in the books is the most powerful witch of them all. She ends up being this incredible character throughout all of them. It's just fascinating how different fan fiction can vary from this. These books were written in the early 20th century. I think he finished writing them by 1912, 1913, because he died long before the Wizard of Oz movie came out and was made. One thing I bet you didn't know, was Alfred Baum put Kansas in the book. He was currently living in South Dakota and trying to make it as a newspaper editor, and he was trying to come up with a very Midwest state, one nobody really knew much about, but it was in Tornado Alley, so Kansas. But the book itself, the books, there's more adventures that take place. One takes place in California, and they have an earthquake that swallows up Dorothy and another male character on a horse and buggy. Another fun thing is Dorothy ends up being the most prevalent character throughout the books. She's mentioned in, I think, every single book except for Rinky-Tink of Oz. She's a prevalent character, and in a couple books in, Uncle Henry and Aunt Em were going to lose their home in Kansas, and this is after they rebuilt. So Dorothy, through the mirror, gets sent to Oz because she can request to go to Oz anytime, because Ozma checks on her once a day. I think it's 4 p.m. or 3 p.m. that she checks on her. And she pleads to Ozma to have Uncle Henry and Aunt Em have them live forever in Oz. So they end up becoming residents of Oz. I think my 2 favorite books out of the 14 are about Ozma, just because I find it fascinating. I loved Ozma of Oz because I like learning the backstory about the royal history there, and The Lost Princess, where Ugu the shoemaker has stolen Ozma, and yeah, it's one of my favorites. And he's also stolen the book where Glinda knows all that's going on everywhere in the world, and Ozma's mirror. The one character that I kept getting really annoyed with and I found really frustrating in the books, and if you've never read them, you won't know who it is. His name's Button Bright. He's just frustrating. He's always getting himself lost. He's just has a type A. He drives me nuts because he's the one that causes majority of the problems, or every time they're on their adventure, he's all of a sudden nowhere to be found because he's in his own world doing his own thing. So Button Bright is my least favorite. Never was there wonders Oz is one because The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. One more random fact that most people don't know is in the first movie, in the movie, and yes, in the book, you do see the wizard leave, and he does leave in a hot air balloon, and he is a phony. But I think it's the second or third book, you actually run into the character of the wizard again. That's where Dorothy and Uncle Henry are coming back from an adventure in Australia, where they went and visited a friend there, and so she meets up with, I can't remember, while Dorothy is coming back from an adventure to Australia with her Uncle Henry. They stop in California on their way back to Kansas. Now Uncle Henry's already gone ahead and met up with his friend that they're meeting in California. He has a friend there. And Dorothy is on this horse and buggy with this young boy, and along the way, she runs across the wizard, who is now working for a circus in California. It's a traveling circus at the time. Well, he ends up being in another adventure with them, and at the end of the book, after they've gotten swallowed up in the earth and had several adventures in Oz, well, the outlying parts of Oz, the wizard ends up staying in Oz at the end, and he ends up living in Oz and eventually training with Glinda. He ends up becoming a wizard in the end. The wizard becomes a wizard. I am the great and powerful Oz. Realizing my light is giving off Wizard of Oz vibes. That I'm the great and powerful. Fitting that my 5K is the Emerald City 5K, because the Emerald City is the one thing that is common throughout all 14 books. It is mentioned in every single book and also holds quite significance throughout the books. Baum also imposes himself at the beginning of every book as the Oz historian, the royal historian. So and he writes a note to the kids in every single book about it. A little after 2 miles, just past mile 2, 1.1 miles left. Another random note: Toto in the land of Oz can talk. Animals talk. So that also means Toto can talk. Mile 3. Just did mile 3. Should be done in a few minutes. Well, I was a little bit slower, a little bit slower pace, but I did it. As I said, it's not about how fast you are, it's about finishing it. And some days I'm 42. I feel 42. My back hurts a little bit more today, and just a little bit more sluggish today. But I did it. This is technically my 4th 5K this month, so I'm proud of myself. We can do really hard things. Correct myself. This is my 5th race this month. This is my 4th 5K, and I did a 10K. So March has been a very productive and busy month. Okay, I completed the Emerald City 5K. And this one I prepped for, as I said, for almost 2 months. I read all 14 books. So it's really pretty. Here is the wonderful West, if ever was there was, never was there was. Wizard of Oz is one because of the wonderful things he does. We're off to see the wizard, the wonderful Wizard of Oz. 5K number 8. Done in the books. This one is very reflective. It's got a lot of silver in it, but it's beautiful. Race number 8, the Emerald City 5K. We are making this an almost all-day celebration, but had to start with the 5K and exercise. I feel like all those birds are the witch's minions coming to find me. Now, I will be making a post soon about what sites I use for a lot of my 5Ks, and also what site I use, which you can use in your own state to find all the local 5Ks. There are a bunch of community 5Ks that I'm doing, but more with the warm weather, because they don't do so many in the cold weather. I'm also realizing I never post when my hair is actually done, and I'm trying to think, do I ever actually do my hair? Yes I do. I just am posting the messiness that is me most of the time. I work 2 jobs. I have several small businesses I tried to do to make some extra money, and I am just a busy woman trying to stay active, stay fit, and enjoy and love my life. I was given the birds don't even like me talking. I was given the opportunity to live, and I want to embrace every minute. It's a true gift when you're close to death and you're given even a couple extra months, a couple extra years.